Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to be playing with a couple of new and quite a few old favorite drugstore and affordable makeup products. So I've gone through my drawers, picked out some things that I have not used for a while, and we're going to put them all to the test with a couple of new things that I am super excited about. And let me tell you guys, if you're curious about this awesome green eyeshadow that I'm wearing today, well, we will get into it in this video. But hopefully you guys are excited about it. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy this video. If you do, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. And of course, be sure to subscribe before you leave. And with that said, let's get into it because we've got a lot of makeup to get on. All right, guys, let's get started. So I've got a good mix of products here. I have a couple of new things, namely a new eyeshadow palette, a new blush that we're going to be trying out. Both of them are affordable, then just some old favorites. So let's get started with the complexion. I'm going to go in first with a little bit of the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I have very mixed feelings about this primer. I don't dislike it. I just am not sure that it does a whole lot for me. I mean, that's generally how I feel with most primers, unless I'm just looking for basically a moisturizer. If you guys have tried this one, if you enjoy it, or even if you have other pore filling primers out there that you swear by, let me know your thoughts on it, because I sometimes wonder if I'm just a little too skeptical, or maybe my expectations are a little bit too high when it comes to primers. For my foundation today, I pulled out my Healthy foundation from Physicians Formula. This is getting pretty old. I really need to try and make some headway on using this stuff up because there's over half left, and I'm pretty sure I've had this for almost a year now, if not a year. I'm going to mix two shades together. I have the shade MW2 and LW2, and I generally find that kind of a 50-50 mix of these two gives me a pretty good match. So I'm just swiping those on the back of my hand and kind of mixing them together. That is one thing about this foundation. I'm not a big fan of the giant doe foot applicator for foundations. Unless it was a foundation that matched me absolutely perfectly and I didn't need to do any mixing and matching, I just find it to be a little bit of a nuisance when you have to mix them together. I don't like to put it directly onto my skin. And I think another thing that might be a nuisance with this foundation, which I know I've talked about before and a lot of you guys would agree with me on, is the scent of it. I think a lot of people have said it smells like paint. I think it smells a bit like paint mixed with maple donuts. One of you guys said you thought it smelled like maple donuts, and I remember reading that comment and thinking, yes, that's exactly what it smells like maple syrup, or it's more of a maple donut smell though. It's not like a syrupy smell. It's like a brown sugar maple paint scent. Which, doesn't that sound appealing? This is also one of the foundations that I do notice the scent on my skin for several hours after I first apply it. That's not often the case with foundations that have a strong scent. Sometimes once they're on your skin, you can't smell them throughout the day, but this one I do smell. It is pretty strong. But I do like the way that it looks on my skin. All right, let's add a little bit of concealer. Today I'm going to use my CoverGirl concealer. Again, I have two shades that I like to mix. I have M100 and L200 right here. So M100 is a pretty good match for me on the perimeter of my face, like on little blemishes and age spots or sunspots. I honestly don't know what to call these at this point. I'm like, are they sunspots? Are they age spots? I'm not really sure. I feel like it's a little bit of both. As you get older, because of your age, you get sunspots more. So this is the lighter shade. I just like to put a little bit just right on the inner corner. It is significantly lighter than what I need, but I'm going to add a little bit of the deep shade to it as well. Hopefully I didn't get too much right there. And then I'll add a tiny bit of this to the outer corners of my eyes. And then I'm just going to take this little guy. This is from Ulta Beauty, just to blend it in. I love these little sponges. I'm often too lazy to bother to wet a second sponge, so most of the time I'll just use my large sponge, but I do think it helps, especially around the under eye area, to have a smaller sponge. Alright, so that's looking pretty good for foundation. Let's go ahead and add, I do want to add just a little bit of powder. I'm just going to take basically one little swirl on my large kabuki brush here, and I just like to set down my forehead, between my eyebrows, and kind of on the sides of my nose and mouth, and then with what's left I'll just kind of run that along my cheekbones. There's really hardly anything left on here. Real quick before I move on with the rest of my face, I do want to put my eyeshadow primer on right now. I'm taking my Alter Ego primer. I'm just going to blend that in with my finger. I actually usually like to put my eyeshadow primer on if I'm using one and not just using a concealer, which I tend to do about 50-50. I usually like to put it on before I put on my concealer, but sometimes I forget. I'm not sure it makes much of a difference either way, but I do really love this primer. It works really, really well. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit more powder just to my eyelids, just so they don't crease. All right, let's move into my cheeks. Starting off with bronzer, I'm gonna take my Milani Silky Matte Bronzer, and I'm gonna really load that up on my Refer number 22 brush. Probably should have used an affordable bronzer brush today. Didn't really think about that till just now. Although I will use affordable eyeshadow brushes today because my Refer brushes are filthy, like super, super filthy. Why is it so hard for me to find time to wash my brushes? And anytime I mention it in a video, I always feel a little bit sheepish when I say I need to wash my brushes, and then 4 videos later, which is usually like 2 weeks, I still haven't done it. All right, now let's go for highlighter next. So I'm gonna take my Makeup Revolution highlighter. This is their Reloaded highlighter in the shade Just My Type. And I'm gonna take my BH Cosmetics highlighter brush. I do love this highlighter. Oh, I just broke the lid. The downside of drugstore highlighters right there in action. Oh, that's a bummer. That was kind of my own fault because I didn't want to use my fingernail because I just painted my nails like 30 minutes ago, so they're still at that stage where they'll dent. So I tried to just open it without using the little clasp right there, and I broke it. Join the club, little guy. Has lots of friends in my drawer that have the same thing going on. All right, now for blush, I have a new product. I have this little palette right here. This is from BH Cosmetics. I actually bought this at Ulta. It's the Vanilla Peach Truffle Palette. These are the 4 shades it comes with. I actually wanted the one that was even a little bit softer than this one. I think it was like the Vanilla Cream, maybe. That one was out of stock, so I went with this one instead. I do like it. I think it has really good shades in it. I've used it a few times already. You basically get 3 matte shades and then 1 kind of satin or slightly shimmery shade right here, 2 peaches, 2 pinks. Before I dip into the blush palette, I want to swatch my lipstick. So today we're going to be using the Flower Beauty Naked Blush shade, which if I remember right is a pretty solid pink. So I'm trying to think, yeah, let's go ahead and use this shade right here, just so my lips and my cheeks match a little bit. I'm just going to take a little bit of that on my Real Techniques blush brush. Man, it's been a while since I've used a powder blush. Really been into like liquid and cream blushes, most of which I've been using my fingers for, so. All right, so there we have the blush. I want to take just a little bit of this kind of peach shade right there and just add a tiny bit of that right to the apples. Okay, I went a little heavy-handed with the blush. I'm going to take my damp sponge and just tap around the edges. Kind of press that in, blend it out a little. I want to do my brows first before we jump into the eyeshadow palette, which I am very excited about. We'll get to it in just a sec. But I'm going to take a little bit of this right here. This is from Maybelline. This is their Total Temptation brow pencil. I have it in the shade, I think it's blonde. Yeah. Do they even make these anymore? I know they had this Total Temptation line out, like, I think it was like 2 years ago. I've had this thing for a while. Can't believe it's not dried out yet. I do like it. I really dislike the spoolie, but I do like the actual pencil, like the formula of it. I think it's a good color. Good, stiff, kind of waxy formula. It's not very slim. It's a little bit more wide, the pencil itself, so it's not quite as good at like really drawing strokes, but it does a pretty good job of quickly filling in my brows. All right, now I'm gonna add a little bit of brow gel. I'm gonna take my Essence Make Me Brow. I found this thing hiding at the back of my drawer. I completely forgot that I even had this. In fact, now that I pulled this thing out, I need to use this thing again. Now that I've kind of become more of like a brow gel person and like a tinted brow gel fan, I really love the e.l.f. one. I wanna try this one out on its own, kind of against the e.l.f. one and compare them, because I feel like they might be kind of similar. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's jump into the eyes now. So I'm super excited about this eyeshadow palette. It is new, it is affordable, it's Colourpop, and it is the Colourpop Mandalorian Star Wars palette. I'm not a Star Wars person. I'm just a fan of greens. And this looked to me like the ultimate green eyeshadow palette. Colors in here I don't think are overly bold, but you get some really fun and interesting green shades, a good range from light to dark. I'll be honest, I've already used this palette. I tried to film this video several days ago and I realized that my ending clip did not get recorded for some reason. So we're refilming it today, which I was kind of bummed about because I had kind of my first impressions of this palette in that video and now I already know that I really like it. So there's the spoiler for you. So today I'm going to do the same thing that I did in that video, and I really just wanted to stick with kind of these greens for the most part and just a little bit of this in my transition area. Alright, so I've got you guys zoomed in a little bit. We're going to kick things off by dipping into this shade right here, which is Just Like a Tatooine. It's kind of a weird name. I feel like I'm kind of missing something by not having seen the show. I do have a son that has been watching the Mandalorian series. My 14-year-old has been watching it on Netflix, but I really have no interest. Honestly, I did like some of the newer, like the last two Star Wars movies, that like the full Star Wars movies. It's so confusing now because they're doing like the actual series and then they have like sub-series within the series and now they have the Netflix series. I can't keep it straight. Same thing that happened with the Marvel movies. It just got a little bit too complicated for me to keep them all straight and I kind of lost interest, but that's okay. I do not dislike Star Wars. It's just not something I'm like wild about. It's not like Harry Potter for me. I'm going to take that same shade on this little kind of Kella smudger brush and just run that on my lower lash, and I'm running it kind of low, like well below my actual lash line, kind of almost in the socket. Then we'll go in with the greens a little bit higher up. I want to just create this like brown halo around my eye. Alright, let's take my Morphe M507 and now we're going to start building up some of the green. I want to start off with this shade right here. I could also maybe today do the mint. Let's see. Let's try the mint. Let's do something a little bit different. So last time I used this shade right here, which is like more of like a yellow toned olivey green, whereas this one is more of a mint green. But what I really love about this palette is I love that you have these three shimmer shades that all have kind of yellow in them, and then these three that have a little bit more blue tone to them. But also I feel like this deep shade right here could go either way. It has kind of a neutral, like you could go with the blue tones or the more yellow toned greens. Also the brown you could pair with either of them. So I feel like for a green palette that's not too bold, it has quite a bit of variety in it. Alright, I will stop talking. Let's get to the eye look. So I actually want to take my M504 and start off with the mint shade right here, and we're going to build this up kind of through the crease, a little bit lower than where I went before, and halfway across the lid. Okay, that is really pretty. It's very light, like the color is quite light, but it has a really pretty color to it. So I'm actually going to take this pretty much all the way across the lid, just leaving my inner corner kind of open. And I'm really building this up. I actually probably could have used like a flat shader brush to pack this color on, but it does seem to be going on really well. So that took about three layers or 3 dips to really build up that color. Probably if I used a flat brush, I could have done it in 1 or 2. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. We're going to add that same color to my lower lash line with that same Cala brush. And this one I'm going to really get up into my actual lashes. Kind of above where I put that brown. I'm going about 2/3 of the way across. And I know it looks a little bold. Well, I wouldn't call this bold, but it does look a little bit different right now. But once I add the depth to the outer corner and some of the shimmer to the lid and the inner corner, I think it's going to come together beautifully. All right, we're going to take this deep green right here. Love this shade. I think it is so pretty. I'm going to take that on my Morphe M507. We're going to start building this outer lid, and I'm just kind of doing a rounded shape, and I'm really filling in this corner right there. So this whole outer like 1/3 or 1/4 of my lid is just really nice and dark. And then I'm slowly going to start pulling that up through like the halfway mark of my crease. So I'm thinking about doing kind of like an eyeshadow week this week. I have a couple of palettes that have kind of, some of them I've had for quite a while that I just haven't had a chance to film with or talk about yet. Some of them I am super, super excited about. Some of them I actually haven't even used yet. So I'm thinking about doing like an eyeshadow week this week. And actually I think all of them are affordable. One of the ones that I want to do a video on is a set of palettes that are high-end, but I found them for an affordable price, which I'll hopefully talk to you guys about in a video soon, but I was super excited about these ones. So if that piques your interest, stay tuned. I will try and come back soon and let you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, I love that combination of the kind of dark green with the mint. I think that's so pretty. Okay, let's go ahead and add the shimmer to the inner lid, and we're gonna take this shimmer right here. You guys, I'm wild about this shimmer. When I used it for the first time the other day, it is seriously my kind of lid shade. Probably can tell by looking at this. Has the vibrancy and the sparkle of one of my favorite lid shades from the Nomad palette, but that one is like a solid neutral gold. This one has a little bit of green in it. It is super, super beautiful. So I'm just gonna take that on my finger and start tapping that. And I kind of just like, when I tap shimmers on my lid, I find rather than dragging them, especially if you have some creases, if you kind of roll them, it works a little bit better. Sometimes if you drag a shimmer across your lid, it'll catch on some of the creases and kind of emphasize them a little bit more, whereas if you just kind of roll it and press it, it'll coat it a little bit more evenly and not emphasize the creasing that you might have, especially for something that's super, super reflective. Now, if you're talking about something that is a little bit more of like a satin, I actually do like to kind of drag it across, but when it's really, really foiled, I like to kind of tap it or kind of roll it. Okay, that is super beautiful. Ooh, I am loving this look, you guys. All right, let's add, I do want to add just a little bit of depth to my lower lash line. So for that, I'm going to take, I hope this brush is small enough. I'm just taking this same Cala brush. I'm just barely going to tap that on the tip. And then we're going to just very lightly press that into, really right into the lashes, just right here at this outer corner. Trying not to go too low, and I'm just kind of pulling that in. And kind of with what's left, I'm just kind of smudging this around this outer corner just to really blend out the shape right there. So I have a nice rounded shape. All right, that looks great. Let's add a little bit of liner. I'm gonna take my Wet n Wild liner. I am just gonna add this to my upper waterline. Sorry if this grosses you out. Then I'm just going to take a little bit just right at the outer corner of my upper lash line and just slightly wing it out. This isn't going to add a whole lot. Alright, that looks great. Now I'm going to add a couple of coats of my Tony Moly mascara, then I will zoom you guys out and we will finish off with the lips and we'll be done. Alright you guys, here are the finished eyes. Love this look. I actually like it better than the first look that I did using the more olive toned green colors. I'm a big fan of these more blue toned greens, which I wasn't sure that I would be. So I've officially now used everything inside this palette except for this gold right here. Although I think I did put this on my lids before I exercised one morning just for the fun of it. And it is a great formula. I'm confident that I will love this one as well. So across the board, if you're into greens, or even if you're not sure if you like greens, I feel like this is a great green palette because nothing in here is intimidating. I feel like all of these greens are wearable regardless of what your eye color is, what your skin tone is. I think this is a green palette that's very approachable. So even if you're not into Star Wars, if you're just looking for some greens to dip your toes into, I think this is a fantastic, fantastic option. I'm super excited about it, much more than I even thought that I might be. So last up, let's finish off with the lips. I'm going to take a little bit of my Milani lip liner. This one's in the shade 03 Nude, right? Yeah, I can never keep these two straight. Speaking of lip liners, guys, if you didn't see my Sephora video where I tried out the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner, that thing is amazing. I mean, I love these lip liners. They're super affordable, but that Charlotte Tilbury lip liner is next level awesome. Like, it's super easy to apply. It lasts way better than this one does. I mean, these can last okay, but I would say these wear off after a couple of hours, especially if you're putting something glossy or creamy on top of them. The Charlotte Tilbury one does last significantly longer. It's just significantly more expensive, unfortunately. All right, now a little bit of lipstick. I'm going to take my Naked Blush lipstick from Flower Beauty. It's a good classic pink. And last, I'm going to take a little bit of lip gloss, and for that I'm going to take my Maybelline Lifter Gloss. I know a lot of you guys have tried out this gloss. I did talk about it in my favorites video. One of the things I really love about this gloss is when you twist it, it's like hydraulic. Like, watch what happens when I twist it. It like pops itself open, which I think is really cool. I'm sure nobody else cares about that, but I thought it was really cool. And why don't we go ahead and do a little bit of setting spray? I feel like I have completely fallen off the setting spray train. I don't know why. I just put them to the side. They used to sit in my one of my little trays here that's now filled with lip gloss and gel liners and quite a few liquid blushes. And I think those liquid blushes took over and bumped my setting sprays off to the side, and then I kind of forgot about them. So I'm going to take a little bit of my L'Oreal Lumi Setting Mist. How much I love the smell of this stuff. And there you have it. That is the finished makeup look using a couple of new things that I'm actually really loving. I think both of these were wins today, along with some other affordable and drugstore makeup products. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'd love to know if there's anything new at the drugstore. I don't tend to go inside my drugstore a lot lately, and if it is, it's usually I'm in and out, so I don't stop and browse through my drugstore section as much as I used to. So if you guys have eyed anything new or interesting, or have tried anything new or interesting from the drugstore, let me know in the comments down below so that I can check them out. Hopefully today you guys enjoyed seeing me use some new and old favorite affordable makeup products. Thank you guys again for stopping by. Hope that you guys are doing well. One more reminder, if you haven't subscribed, I hope that you will do that before you leave, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye. This little blush quad comes with 4 shades. Obviously, you said it was a blush quad. People know that means 4. Alright, so today I want to do the same thing that I did in the video that you guys will not see, that didn't work out. Okay, Mandy, no, don't say that. So I have all my rougher brushes sit right in front of me. These are the ones that I use the most. And then I have my like affordable B-list brushes. And then over here, I have this bin of like C-list brushes. And these are the ones that, like, when friends or neighbors come over and they need a brush, they get them out of this bin. These are ones that I never ever use.